And welcome to the TechNL 2023 conference. And I got to tell you, it's exciting times going on here. A lot of great conversations happening. A lot of good things happen in the technology sector right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Emad, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah, I'm Emad Rizkalla. I'm the founder and CEO of Bluedrop.
So Emad, tell us a little bit about Bluedrop. What do you guys do?
Well, Bluedrop is a 31-year-old startup. We started when we couldn't get jobs in '92, graduating from engineering here at Memorial. And Bluedrop's got a couple of divisions. One is a defense and aerospace group based in Halifax, Bluedrop Training and Simulation. And the group that I spend most of my energy on is Bluedrop ISM, which is based here in St. John's. And that focuses on workforce development solutions, software for unemployment systems, and helping different industries with, upskilling and getting people into the workforce.
There's so much to unpack there already.
Yeah, it's too much.
There's a lot there. Couldn't get a job, so you started your own company. Take me back to that moment in time for just a minute and expand on it.
Well, it's hard to believe because people actually don't believe it. But in 1992, there was a pretty big recession on, and I was graduating with a mechanical engineering degree. And the first person in my class to get a job was 6 months out of school. So we had our term 7 and 8 design project. It was a stabilizer for satellite antenna on ships that didn't use electricity. Anyway, we thought, well, we're not going to get a job, so why don't we start a company? So before we convocated, we were trying to commercialize that product. And then a couple of months later, I was offered a job, and I said, I kind of like this. I don't want to do that. And now that company that we started, that fake company that we had as a class project, has spun out a couple of other companies. Bluedrop's only a quarter of it or so, but there's actually 1,000 jobs that came out of that project.
Out of that one capstone project?
Yeah, all still headquartered in Newfoundland, Labrador. Yeah, Vision 33 and ourselves, and then our tentacles, and so it's pretty cool.
I have to tell you that anybody who questions the importance of a capstone project or indeed co-op education or any of that should listen to that. Just one statement. Spun out 1,000 jobs out of one capstone project.
Yeah, it was just...
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I'm not taking credit for the other 700, 800, whatever that came out of Vision 33, but yeah, that was the group, and we were together till 2004. And then we said, you guys want to do this, and we want to do e-learning, and they wanted to do SAP stuff. And so now I think they're one of the most successful SAP partners in the world, and we're one of the most successful companies in defense and aerospace and workforce development in the world.
Workforce development is such a vitally important conversation at the moment. Everybody's searching for top talent, everybody trying to upskill their community and the like. Tell me about where Bluedrop finds itself in the middle of all of that and what's exciting about it as the technology increases.
Well, I mean, there's obviously a lot of good things happening in that space, and there's a lot of scary things. I mean, AI is obviously, it's a 2-hour podcast in itself. How is that going to affect the workforce? Just the pace of change has really been a struggle for employers to keep up with. And you actually have now, a supply of talent. We're thinking about like entry talent, people with barriers to employment. That's where we focus. Industries as well that are looking for people, can't find them. And so a lot of the gap is upskilling, but it's other things like confidence and people coming from other countries and people having problems getting attached to the workforce. People, their jobs are being eliminated by technology or by trade. So you've got like a lot of opportunity on both sides, but it's really connecting the two and closing the gap, and that's where what we do kind of fits. We have software to help with that. We have a lot of training products to help with that. So we tend to work with industry groups and governments to solve those problems.
Staying on the industry group for a second there, you obviously have a big defense footprint. The defense sector in Canada is growing, certainly in the shipbuilding side and beyond. It's growing at the moment. And tell me about what it is you do in that realm.
Yeah, well, we help anytime there's a major procurement in Canada, ships, planes, helicopters. We're usually involved in helping with some of the initial training for the crews that will man those big equipment. So any kind of capital purchase requires a ton of training. We were really growing, and then we have an Orlando office now that's just growing and doing what we've been doing in Canada for a very long time now in the U.S. market. And the U.S. market, I have to say, is it's obscene, like how large and
Right.
how much training there is. Like here we wait for years for a multi-million-dollar opportunity, and there's like daily there's another one being let. So we're still in training. We're still focused on solving problems that come with new equipment and helping the crews to learn how to maintain them and do missions. But we're really growing in the mixed reality world as well.
Emad, you must have an amazing team around you, because to think somebody must have sat in a boardroom someday and said, we can convert that hand on that hoist cable that's a vitally important job to our society. We can convert that into virtual or augmented reality training. You must have an incredible team around you of visionaries and people that are constantly adding to the ideation.
Yeah, I am so blessed. Like we have such great people. I mean, and we keep them and we grow with them and they grow with us. And that's probably, I would say that is the secret of our success. We've really, because I can't do it at our size. It's not up to me to come up with the innovation and the direction and
right.
There's a lot of ideas that need to bubble up from all parts of the company. And an amazing statistic, I mean, this is not, mathematically measured or anything, but I would say that 80% of what we're doing today we weren't doing 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Right.
Just totally where our revenues come from is so different. So how do you do that? How do you know that you're going to be right and you're going to be where you need to be? I can tell you for sure, if we were just doing what we did 15 years ago, we wouldn't be here 10 years ago. And you think of other industries, there's not a lot of other industries that are that, but that's tech. That's the exciting part of tech, that's the scary part of tech, and that's why it all revolves around people and culture. Culture, because people have to feel included, they have to feel a sense of belonging, they have to feel no fear to make mistakes, to innovate. So if you don't have that, they kind of, they scrunch right up and they say, oh, I'm not trying that. So you have to create that culture, but then you also have to have people that are naturally curious and excited and just want to make a difference and change the world.
You hit on all the kind of highlights of innovation there, right? And that, not being afraid of failure and learning from that process. We see that playing out so much right now in the most successful companies around the globe, whether it be SpaceX and all of those companies where they're not afraid of failure. Let's give this a try.
Yeah.
How do you find people like that? Or is it just you build it into the culture in your company to create that safe space for creativity?
Yeah. I don't think innovation is about adding anything, it's about removing stuff. So my view is that, when we're all kids, that's who we are. Like, kids don't worry about, breaking something or making a mistake, or that's how you grow up. And life, educational system, and bad employers, and and life stresses, they beat it out of you. So our goal is just to create the environment where people can get back to who they are. And when you remove all those barriers, innovation automatically happens.
What a wonderful explanation of that, to remove those barriers. Yeah, I've often heard about how as you advance through life, you're less accepting of risk, and everybody beats risk out of you, right? You can't do this because, but you're so right. When you break it back down to those early days when you're trying to figure things out, and that's what you're creating in your company. Let's get all of those barriers out of the way, and let's get excited and create. Must be amazing to be here in Newfoundland at this very moment. And you've been around now for 3 decades, watching this thing evolve. But at this very moment, there's some really good things happening here.
Oh, it's so exciting. I mean, just to put it in context, when we started, there was no such thing as an incubator. You were crazy to be 23 with no money, no experience, no contacts, and start a company. Like, it wasn't cool. Now, I get so excited. I go, there's an obscene, I shouldn't keep using that word, obscene number of companies, but a very large number of companies being incubated here in Newfoundland and Labrador right now. It's incredible, and the range of what they do is really, it's breathtaking. And so I think it's really come a long way where you're not crazy. I mean, this is what a lot of the future of the province hinges on. It's young startups, not necessarily by new graduates. Some startups are created by people mid-career or late career even. But what's exciting is the acceptance of it, the sense of community, the idea that this is what we need to grow as a province. So these people now are not seen as sort of, out there and out of the mainstream. They're seen as sort of the key to our prosperity. And frankly, we got a demographic problem, as you know, in this province. So they're also seen as a way to attract young people into an industry. And we bring a lot of people from all over the world to work in the various offices. And that's exciting. Like, you go into our office, and I think about a third of the people weren't born in Canada, me included, and that's kind of exciting, right? Because we're all here creating families, creating lives for ourselves. I just think that that's really exciting.
Yeah, I've been around the tech sector, whether it's in academia or my service in the military, and I can tell you this, that when I look at gold standard, or maybe I'll use the term blue ribbon, Bluedrop always rises to the top. They're seen as a very solid, well-run company that provides very solid solutions for the end user. And now here you are 3 decades later in this innovation sector in Newfoundland. What does it feel like to be at the foundation of it all, to be the bricks and the mortar below, allowing all these other companies to flourish and do well?
Well, I'm not going to take any credit for what's come after us, that's for sure. That's very exciting. I think the only thing that I think when I reflect back on it, going back 3 decades, I'm just glad that, being an immigrant and an outsider, I didn't really view risk in the same way. My risk wasn't to be embarrassed. I grew up here, but I didn't care about that. So I think my contribution was just to be too stupid to not know that this is scary. It wasn't scary at all, to be honest. And I didn't have a job, so I'm not even going to take credit for that. It was like economic survival to start this. We got $13,000 from the National Research Council, and that's led to 1,000 jobs later. Like, I'm always happy to tell them that. And a COA, $60,000 within a couple of months. And those two things together got us started, and we're just so grateful. So I'm just grateful that I didn't know better, I guess is what I would say. And now it's not about not knowing better. It's actually, what I find really interesting is that a lot of people don't want to, they don't want to go into corporate America or corporate Canada. They want to do a startup, or they want to work for a startup, or they want to work for a tech company. Because truthfully, the stuff that we build in this province makes a difference all over the world. It's not just, so people that are motivated by that can find it. People that are motivated by career opportunity can find that. People that are motivated by just never having the same job, year after year can find it. It's got something for everyone.
Emad, our conversations at Gale Force Wins they're always built around optimism. They're always very positive in nature, and they're meant for one thing, and that is to inspire other people to do good things, great things, make the world a better place. There's no doubt in my mind that people will find inspiration from your journey, and indeed this conversation, your approach is a beautiful one. There's no doubt about it, and it's working. What piece of advice would you give somebody that's out there saying, I wonder, can I do this? Can I make that leap?
Well, I really think with the pace of change today, the greatest risk is actually not taking a risk. I mean, when we started our California office, which now went to Vision 33, and it's a big office there that they have, what I found really interesting many years ago was, in California, what's sold is, you can be first. No one else has this. And what's sold in Canada was, don't be last. You're going to be left behind. Everybody else got this. And that is not the way of the world. If that's the mindset that you have, all of your dreams and hopes, they're not going to be realized. So the greatest thing that can go wrong is you'll make a mistake. But what you're going to learn and what you're going to get out of it, if you view it all as learning, then there is no such thing as mistake. I mean, Nelson Mandela has this great quote that I love, and he basically says, I don't lose, I either win or I learn. And if you just shift a little bit to that, then I think you can achieve a lot more. And I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm sitting still, because you are going to get run over in this economy, in this environment. So this is actually how you live your dreams, but it's also how you adapt and keep relevant in the change that we're going through right now.
Emad, an absolute pleasure to be in conversation with you. Thanks for contributing to the innovation system or ecosystem here in Newfoundland and Labrador. You're to be celebrated for everything that you've done. Thanks again.
That's kind. Thank you.